Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? It is the morning after podcast, and yes, I lost sleep last night. There's no doubt about it. Doug Pederson punting the ball away. It made me stare at the damn ceiling until about 5 in the morning, trying to comprehend how you could possibly, in overtime, go, you know what, team? I don't care about winning. I'll take the tie. It's an embarrassment. It really is. And Doug Pederson even alluded to it this morning. Probably should have went for it. And last night I was freaking out, hey, you at least got to try the field goal. And I understood that a 64-yarder isn't something that you're probably going to nail. But the point of me mentioning, hey, at least just go for the field goal is you tried. You tried to win the game instead of waving the white flag. But going for it on fourth, sure. I mean, go for it on fourth. I would live and die with that scenario as well. You just can't punt the football away. That is unacceptable. That's telling your team, I give up. I give up on you, at least on fourth and long. Even though Carson wasn't great and these receivers aren't great and they were failing to get separation at times, you still need to attempt it. That's the moral of the story. So whether you go for something like a historic 64-yarder or you go for it on fourth, I'll take either of those options over punting the damn football away to the Cincinnati Bengals. It's honestly such a disgrace that even went through his head. We are talking about Doug Pederson, a man who apparently is very aggressive. He punts it away and goes, I'll take the tie. It's gross. It really is. It's disturbing. Now, we are broadcasting live from the Manscaped Man Cave. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code BROD at manscaped.com. A ton of reactions on the Anytime Hotline. A ton. We're going to dive into your reactions to last night's game. I can't believe it. They're 0-2-1. 0-2-1, that's so laughable. And then here comes this horrible stretch. Here comes this stretch of games that's going to make me... Let's start off the phone calls.
Hey, Broads, it's Tom. First-time caller, long-time viewer. That game was completely unacceptable by the Eagles, and I think it's time to think outside the box with regards to Carson Wentz, especially going into the Niners game next week. I think we sit him for 1 week to send a message, because I don't think we're going to win that game anyway, even though the 49ers are banged up. And I think he needs to get his head right. Unacceptable with Jason Peters. Something's got to happen there. I do want to see more of Greg Ward. He's really stepped up when we needed him.
I do agree that we need more of Greg Ward. That's actually absurd, right? The fact that I'm sitting here today going, you know what we need? We need more of Greg Ward. And we also learned this morning that, hey, maybe that Deshaun Jackson injury is worse than we thought it was. During the game, we thought, oh, okay, just another hamstring injury for Deshaun Jackson. But here you go. I mean, you might get thrown a curveball, and he might not be here for a while. Could you imagine a world where you draft Jalen Reagor because you won a bunch of speed and he gets hurt with a thumb injury and he's going to be out a significant amount of time? Deshaun Jackson won't be available for some time. And then you're stuck with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside again, Burnett again. Just a handful of games into the season. That is a flawed roster, if you ask me. And that goes back to Howie Roseman and this front office, and I don't think they're going anywhere. I mean, when you think about Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, they are connected as hell. I would be shocked if Jeffrey Lurie cans Howie Roseman. That's just not how he operates. But when you look at what he has put together over the last handful of stretches here after the Super Bowl, it's been an embarrassment, and they need to figure out how the hell they are going to fix this mess. I know you can't blame a GM when it comes to injuries like Jalen Reagor. That's just unfortunate. But then you can go into the whole Deshaun Jackson element and go, well, you have this guy here who is so old, and he's continuously banged up. And you look at his performance and you go, hold on a second, this guy's at a certain age in his career. Yes, we need speed, but can he stay healthy? Can he be active on game days? Now you need to make an educated decision on, while you need speed, is there another way that you can go outside of signing a Deshaun Jackson, because you know that he's not going to be available for this football team. He's just not there anymore in his career because he's constantly banged up. You put too much stock in an older player in this league who consistently gets hurt over and over again. Shame on you, because that is a flawed mindset if you go down that road. Sitting Carson Wentz, though. You brought up sitting Carson Wentz. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet to sit Carson Wentz, bench Carson Wentz. It's funny, though. If there was no Jalen Hurts here, would that question even be popped up? Absolutely not. So did this franchise go in that direction knowing that that question would possibly be popped up if Carson Wentz struggled? You know me. I'm at the point where I thought this organization went down this road for a reason. They don't want Carson Wentz. They want to weave him out, and they're doing it like snakes. It's fishy. Something smells wrong about the way that this is all going down. They want Carson Wentz to fail, in my opinion, so they can find a way to make an excuse and slip Jalen Hurts right there in the starting spot. I think that's their long-term plans. But they're going to make it seem as if Carson Wentz, he failed, and he lost his spot. That's how they're going to try and sell this, but they are putting him in a position to fail. It's not time to bench Carson Wentz yet. He's playing awful. The leash is not long. I'm not saying it's a long leash, but it's 3 games in, and I'm not willing to go down there yet. I saw him battle last game. Lowering the shoulder, getting a ton of yards, using his legs. Now, he made plenty of mistakes. That 3rd and 10 to Miles Sanders, I thought I lost sleep over Doug Pederson, which I did. But there were moments that flashed in my brain as well with Carson Wentz. And that 3rd and 10 to Miles Sanders, that's a difference maker in the game. And that one really crushed me. That one was the one that when I saw it happen, I was just white as a ghost. I think I lost all color in my face. I think my whole entire body shut down. Going, how can you miss that throw? And then the play to Zach Ertz, trying to throw it to the backside shoulder. It can't happen. It's unacceptable, without a doubt. I'm just not ready yet to pull the trigger. I mentioned this on the post-game pod, and I do truly believe that this is true. It's so simple to sit here today and go bench Carson Wentz. Sit him. Get rid of him. We don't need him. Let's move on. But that's not how professional sports work. That's what you do as a fan, and fine. That is the job of a fan, to overreact, to freak out, to scream, right? And trust me, I have my moments. But when it comes to the quarterback position, you don't just give up on players within 3 days. 3 games, that is. Longer than 3 days, 3 games. Plenty of times throughout his career where he missed throws and his mechanics were off and things of that nature. But never was he the worst quarterback in the league in terms of QBR and playing poorly. So this is all new. This is all brand new. I know the Carson Wentz haters want to claim that it's not, but it is, because it's never been to this degree at all. He's found other ways to utilize his skill set to make up for his lack of accuracy, etc. So I'm not ready yet. That's just me.
Hey, bros, man. Another horrible day for the Eagles. I mean, this is pathetic, man. Carson is playing scared to get hurt, and that's what it seems to me. Usually when Carson used to play like in 2017, if he had a running lane open, he would take it. And now it's like he's avoiding that opportunity to run now and second-guessing himself. He's playing not to get hurt. And just because he's got his contract, he's like, oh, I'm not going to get hurt no more. I don't want to let nobody down. But what he's doing right now is letting us all down worse. And the defense, where's the turnover? They haven't forced 1 turnover in 3 weeks now. This is pathetic. The Eagles are pathetic. I don't know what else to do, man. It's crazy watching this game. But anyway, bros, you have a good one, man. Take care now.
Thank you so much for the phone call. Defense, yes, they need to create more turnovers. It's a difference maker in games. Creating turnovers. Giving the football team, the offense, somewhere to operate. We talk about the Washington football team and how they scored a lot of points on the Eagles and they had that epic comeback. Well, they continuously got the ball at the Eagles 40 in the Eagles territory. They had such great field position, and this offense doesn't really get many opportunities to just start out with this fantastic field position. Now, with Carson Wentz, you said he played scared because of the injury. I thought the opposite. That was the most I've ever seen Carson Wentz run in a very long time. He was diving into the end zone. He was taking on a bunch of defenders. He was taking on contact. He wasn't afraid to use his legs. That was the most I've seen Carson Wentz run around. I was thinking, he seems not to be afraid of the injury. He seems not to be afraid of getting hurt because he is just going out there and taking on all kinds of hits and showing like the effort level was there without a doubt. So in terms of the injury, playing scared from that sense, I didn't see that whatsoever. I almost saw the opposite. But is he afraid to pull the trigger at times? No doubt. There seems to be a ton of second guessing when there are wide open individuals there. And that needs to change. I mean, that absolutely needs to change. Touchdown. Missed. Instead, he took a couple yards. You're talking about a touchdown, wide open. And they had to settle for a field goal at the end of it. That can't happen. That was a nice drive, long drive, a lot of plays, use the clock. You get down to the red zone, and you miss a wide open touchdown, then you have to settle for 3. That's what needs to change.
First of all, bros, I don't really know how to really feel. It's a tie, but I'm not happy with it. First of all, send Nate Gary to the sun. Send him to the streets immediately. Cut that man. That abysmal performance by Nathan Gary. How is he even on the... What? Matt Pryor, you bum. Why are you costing us a chance to win? And then Doug, your play calling was horrible the entire game. Why would you, bros? I am more upset than I ever could be. This is an abysmal, other than the New Orleans, one of the worst. I can't call it a loss. I don't even know, bros. This Eagles team, Dallas Goedert's hurt now. Oh wow! All I can say is wow.
I love it. I love the passion. I love the intensity. Doug Pederson, to me, in overtime, he played for a long field goal. Isn't that wild? Doug Pederson, in overtime against the Cincinnati Bengals, just played for a long 50-plus field goal. In what universe is that Doug Pederson? And I cannot believe he actually forgot to run the damn football. You were in good territory. You're driving. You have an opportunity to win the game. Just run the ball. Run the ball. He tries to be cute with it. He tries to get a little fancy with it. Come on, Doug. You're overthinking things. You're making it more difficult than it needs to be. It's not that hard. And heading into the game, there was a matchup to be won with this Eagles squad. Miles Sanders. And the fact that he didn't get 30-plus carries in a game that went to overtime, that is not okay with me. And that needs to be addressed. Doug Pederson, he gets away from the run all the time. And I'm not someone who screams like it's 1980, run the ball, you need a fullback, things of that nature. I get that this game has developed and it's now different in 2020. It's a passing league. But when you have a matchup that should be able to win, now, Jason Peters did not help. That offensive line as a whole was a disgrace, so they didn't help. But Miles Sanders was a factor. Early in the game, he's getting 7 yards a carry. And then all of a sudden, you just go away from him. And then, isn't that shocking? The offense seemed to stall. It seemed to have trouble. It's not rocket science here. Doug Pederson had a really bad game. Really bad game, in my opinion. As bad as Carson Wentz is, Doug Pederson is matching that poor play, if you will. He's coaching just as poorly as Carson Wentz is struggling. Both can be true. Now, that offensive line. How on a field goal to win the game, Matt Pryor does what he did? He would never see the field again if I'm the coach. Never.
Hey, bro, I don't know if there's anything left to say anymore. I mean, this is probably the lowest point ever in Philadelphia Eagles sports recently. I know we've had other low points, but my God, does this suck. Nate Gary shouldn't be a linebacker. He just shouldn't. He should be a backup. He's not a starter at all. I just don't know what to say anymore. I'm at a loss for words.
Well, Nate Gary being here, once again, is on flawed roster building. Logan Wilson I saw on the other side. I wanted Logan Wilson during the draft. I was thinking, hold on, here's a guy who can make plays, who can be a starting linebacker for your squad. He gets a big-time interception. He's a hell of a player. But no, you want to stick with Nate Gary. And how much input does Jim Schwartz have on that? I don't really have the answer. I do know that Jim Schwartz does have a lot to say when it comes to his side of the football. I mean, come on. I would imagine, though, if there's an opportunity to upgrade at that position, he wouldn't be against it because he wants Nate Gary in the mix. So this goes back to Howie Roseman, the Three Stooges, the entire front office members, for saying this is good enough at the linebacker position. I know it's not insanely valued, and it doesn't need to be. You don't need an elite linebacker. That's not what I'm asking for. I'm not asking for some game-changing, insane linebacker that's going to get paid a ton of money and all this big name, big splash, Luke Kuechly type player. You don't need that. You just need someone who's average. Average. You could probably even have someone who's below average and still be okay at the linebacker position. But you can't have this. You can't have, this is like the Phillies bullpen, for example. If the Phillies just had an average to below average bullpen, you're talking about a playoff run. Below average bullpen would still get the Phillies in a playoff spot. But they just have the second worst ERA in history of bullpens since 1912. And that's what this linebacking core really feels like. It's crazy. Nate Gary constantly getting torched. The amount of times they attack Boyd. And guess what? That's not going anywhere. Teams are going to continue to thrive targeting that area of the field.
You play to win.
Well, that's it. Got cut off. You play to win the game. I'm assuming that's the road he wanted to go down, and you're not wrong. The fact that he put his hands up and told this team, hey, guys, we're going to tie. We're going to tie the Bengals. We're going to punt this ball, and we're just going to tie the Bengals. That's what Doug Pederson's message was to his team. We are okay, and we are satisfied with tying this game, so we're going to punt it away. Punt it away? Doug Pederson punted it away. He punted it away. It's like the more and more I say it, I'm just like trying to embrace it even more. Not embrace it. Definitely not embrace it. But I'm trying to like understand it by saying it. He punted the ball away. He punted the ball away? How? I honestly can't even comprehend how a head coach would go down that road and think that is the right thing to do in that moment. You want to rip Jason Garrett. You want to rip Marvin Lewis. You want to rip some of the coaches that failed. How about Fisher? All right, you really think that Jeff Fisher would have made that decision? I could argue that he would have made the right play, or he would have at least attempted to try and win over what Doug Pederson did and the message he sent to his team. It's crazy. It's wild.
Brody, I feel disgusted, man. And I got to tell you, I think Jake Elliott could have made that field goal. I was at the game when he made that shot, 61-yarder against the Giants in that Super Bowl run. I still have a video of it. And, man, blaming Doug Pederson for that one is an understatement. Yeah, Matt Pryor had that penalty, and that helped kill it. But, man, just see Carson Wentz, even though he had that interception and the other interception. It's weird for me to say. Just thinks that he brought us back only to get robbed by his own coach.
I mean, I do want to clearly discuss and focus on what Doug Pederson did there, as I just went on for about 15 to 20 seconds screaming that he punted. Like, that's definitely a focus because it shows a lack of IQ by the head coach, and it shows a very weird message that we're not accustomed to seeing out of Doug Pederson specifically. But there were plenty of other issues throughout the game before even leading up to it. A 64-yarder is insane. I mean, I know 61 is very hard as well, but 64 is like obnoxiously hard. It would be not so much about Jake Elliott making or missing. It's just about the mentality of saying, hey guys, I'm going to at least attempt to win this football game, compared to not even trying to win the game. That's more so where I have the issue. When I wake up this morning, I think more about probably just going for it as a standard play, maybe spiking it if you get the first down, going for a field goal there. More down that road than I am the field goal. Last night it was about the field goal, just heat of the moment. Why didn't you go for it, right? But once again, it was just more about the mentality of things. You talk about how weird it is to say Carson Wentz and the 2 interceptions. You're not wrong. It's very, very weird, and it just doesn't taste right. It doesn't smell right. It doesn't feel right. It is a very wonky spot to be in at the moment. You know what's not wonky, though? Winning money and sports betting, and BetQL can help you do that. BetQL has the best analytics, the best trends, the best information, the best data when it comes to sports betting. They will give you everything you need to know in terms of where the sharp money is headed. And that's what I've been doing. I've just been following the sharp money. I want to follow where the professionals are betting. And guess what? I am winning left and right. I'm constantly cashing out. I'm constantly withdrawing a ton of cash on my DraftKings Sportsbook. And I'm going to continue to do it as I use BetQL every single damn night. And you can get 20% off your first payment using promo code BROADS20 at BetQL.com. They also have a mobile app. We are also implementing an NFL Weekly Pick'em pool. All the information is down below, giving away weekly prizes and a grand prize, a championship bracelet courtesy of Rosnov Jewelers. So make sure you check out all of the information down below. I'm sick to my stomach, without a doubt. I am sick to my stomach. The coffee doesn't feel the same in the morning. The coffee tastes bad, although it doesn't because I love coffee. You understand what I'm saying, though. 0-2-1. Say it with me. The Philadelphia Eagles are 0-2-1 after 3.
What's up, bros? It's Rich. Painful game, man. Absolutely painful. To go for the tie is unexcusable. I never heard of a football team who plays for a tie. And then Merrill Reese, post-game, said the final score was 23. I've never heard of a football game with one score. But here it is. 2020 Philadelphia Eagles football. Unbelievable.
It is. It's unbelievable. And you could even sense last night when Doug Pederson was speaking, he was weird with his answer about what he did. It was almost like he instantly already regretted his decision, and it was finally hitting him. He had time to comprehend it. He was like, wait a second, what did I just do? And then when he was getting pounded by the media afterwards, he looked awkward. He looked uncomfortable. He didn't really have much in terms of words. He was like fumbling over his words a bit. And let's be realistic, Doug Pederson is known to have pretty poor press conferences. So it's not like that's brand new at a Doug, but you could see it in his body language, in his tone, in the way he was answering questions. He already regretted his decision. Not based off of just getting pounded by the media. I think you realize that, holy hell, did I really just tell my team, we give up? We give up on you? That is a poor, poor thing to tell a bunch of individuals who put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that game right before that point.
At this point, Broads, I don't know whether to just be mad or annoyed or, like, this is what we're expecting. Like, wow, that was a weird game. Like Carson Wentz throws 2 picks. Like sometimes you can't trust Carson Wentz to do something, but they tie up the game, make it go into overtime. A ton of defensive stops, and then Jason Peters gets injured. Another offensive lineman down, man. Oh my God. I personally, as Doug Pederson, would have gone for that because, you're putting the Bengals in decent field position, but man, they should have just gone for that.
Yeah, it's another thing about it. It's another element to it. Just say you don't get it. Okay, Joe Burrow ends up having some field position, right? He gets the football back, not a lot of time on the clock. You're saying not only do we not trust the offense, not only do we not believe that they can get anything done, but we don't trust the D either. And the D struggles to get turnovers, but at that moment in the game, Fletcher Cox getting a lot of penetration. The Eagles' defensive line was getting on Joe Burrow. You're telling the defense, we don't believe in you. So he's telling both sides of the ball. He's telling his entire team on both sides, we don't believe in you to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think once you see that, once you are at that level, you got to understand that there are a ton of issues with the football team. When that type of statement is thrown out there and given to your 53 men in that uniform, you have a major problem. And you talked about Jason Peters and his injury. He was terrible. Jason Peters showed all of his age of 38 years old. You might be better with somebody else. I don't know. Could Mailata be worse at left tackle than Jason Peters was? He might be just as bad. He doesn't have a ton of experience at football at all, but there's no way that it could have been worse than what Jason Peters provided. And he pisses me off because of everything he tried to pull. That stunt he pulled, I want more money, I'm playing a more prestigious position. Yeah, well, you sucked at it. You sucked at it. You sucked at it. So you can't pull that and then blow. That doesn't fly with me. I'd be calling Jason Peters in or sending him an invoice for a percentage of that paycheck back, going back to that right guard money. Because if you're going to play like that, I'm sorry, I'm not paying your ass.
Hunter, I've been watching football over 40 years. I have never seen a more piss-poor job of coaching in my life. I mean, you have a kicker who's kicked long field goals before, and rather than give him a shot with under 10 seconds to go, you punt the football. You're content to have a tie against the Cincinnati freaking Bengals. The play calling leading up to that was a travesty, too. That coach played, or coached, I should say, not to lose rather than to win. I can't believe it. I can't believe you sit through 3.5 hours of football to watch a coach basically say he's content with a tie. I'm livid. If that stadium was able to have fans in it, I would wholeheartedly agree with them chucking stuff at Doug Pederson.
That's great. That's phenomenal. Chucking stuff at Dougie P. Interesting point, though. If that place was filled, if that place was covered in Eagles green and you had a bunch of drunk fans up there, oh my Lord. I don't even know what would have happened. Chucking things at Doug Pederson, that's probably the floor. If we talk about the floor and the ceiling of how bad it would be from Eagles fans, the boos would be heard from Pittsburgh, from Canada, from Mars. People in Mars would be like, oh, do you hear that? Nah, it's just the Eagles fans again. Probably. Is it bad that I somewhat want to experience that? I somewhat want to know what that would actually sound like. Man, that would be ruthless. Ruthless. And then, of course, the media coverage afterwards would be even more intense, if you will. But wow. Just wow. Let's take one more.
I'm not livid at the fact that it was a tie game. I'm livid at the fact that we completely kicked this game away. And despite all his faults, Wentz still managed to put the team on his back and at least put us in a position to win, even though he clearly could have played a lot better. Brandon Graham single-handedly brought us back in overtime, repeatedly getting back to Burrow, and only for Matt Pryor to just piss the game away. I'm fucking livid, man. That's all I have to say.
Dropping a hard F-bomb on me. Did not expect that. Yeah, it's just extremely disappointing. And now there's so many damn question marks on what is this quarterback and what is this head coach and what is this GM and where is this franchise going? And you look at their cap space for next season. It is living hell. All right, I don't think... Look, I know people know that there's a problem with the salary cap, but until we're really in that moment, I don't think people truly understand how much of a bad spot they are in. And then you could say, well, Howie Roseman, he's this cap wizard. He will find a way, and maybe he does find a way, but his philosophy at this point is just, it's like a credit card. You just keep pushing it back, pushing it back, pushing it back, but at some point, you're going to have to pay it off. At some point, that credit card bill is going to have to be paid off, and is it coming soon? Is he going to continue to find ways to manipulate it? At this point, you have to find a way because this is bad. This is awful, and it's the lack of drafting, it's catching up to you. The lack of salary cap is a problem as well because you can't go out there and sign big players. Players are getting older. Deshaun Jackson, Fletcher Cox. I know you mentioned Brandon Graham, who had an electric game, but I do think that to an extent, this game is like last year's Jets game. It doesn't really matter to me because the talent was so poor on the other side. I'm not trying to discredit what BG did and Fletch, but I need to see that against a line that's actually good. You know, this Bengals team is awful, so I expect them to have that type of performance against this team that's awful. Now, that's better than not showing up. I understand it. Look at the age, look at the salary cap, look at the injuries, look at the lack of drafting, and tell me that this team's just in a great position moving forward, because they're not. And then the quarterback question comes into play, and the head coach comes into play. Now, I'm not ready to just move on from all these pieces. I'm not ready to bench Carson Wentz. I'm not ready to just throw Doug Pederson out. But I do think it's fair to start asking some questions, but that doesn't mean they need to be fired tomorrow. It's just, hey, now the questions are out there. You're 0-2-1. Common theme for Doug Pederson. Slow starts and injuries, this and this that people want to bring up. Well, like one of the arguments against Doug Pederson is he took a team that was depleted to 9-7. So did Carson Wentz, by the way. But look, they were depleted. It would have been way better if they weren't 9-7. I understand where you people go with that argument, but there still is something to be said about the slow starts, 5-7 after a certain part of the season, having to battle back. And if this division wasn't an absolute joke, they wouldn't even sniff the postseason whatsoever. You're just lucky to be in a division with the Giants and Washington team that are embarrassing themselves, and then a Cowboys team that should be 0-3. The Atlanta Falcons just found a way to gift them an epic comeback, which, by the way, they did to the Chicago Bears yesterday as well. And, of course, Nick Foles was the one to kind of help execute that as well. Before we close this out, remember, this episode is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power, and with over 20 years of experience in the industry, they are home to your solar experts in residential and commercial projects. They provide water purification systems as well, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. Their information is down below. Whew, all right. I mean, whew. Trust me, more discussions are coming in. And if you called and I didn't get to your phone call because there were just so many damn calls, maybe I'll use them moving forward this week. Just continue to use the Anytime hotline. The phone number is 856-442-9805. I appreciate all the love and support going back and forth and getting a chance to get your voice heard about these situations. That's why I'm here. I'm a man of the people. You know what I mean? I'm a man of the people. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.